So hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the Logitech G Challenge, the Xbox quarterfinals from within the EU. And I've got to be honest, I'm sure a lot of you will know that I took a couple of weeks away from Assetto Corsa Competizione to get myself prepared for this race. Having come back to Project Cars 2, it was quite evident that my pace had changed considerably, having gotten used to the physics in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and thankfully to FPR Physique and FPR Raptor, and also Pro Stig, also from the FPR team, we managed to get together a couple of nights on the run-up to the competition and just have a little bit of a practice and just get our eye in really, and get back to speed. I did a few test sessions within time trial, and then just getting into doing some out and out wheel to wheel battling. As you can see, I'm just in the lead here from FPR Raptor, who had unfortunately taken a little bit of a spin that put him out of position really, but just trying to get to grips with where you can sort of pass, where I might be struggling with my line through some of the corners, where I can better my own driving. And definitely through sector 2 and sector 3 there are a number of corners that I just seemed unable to get hooked up really. It was as much as I was always happy with my sector 1 times, the sector 2 and sector 3 just always seemed to be lacking, maybe 4 to 5 tenths sometimes through some of the corners. But it really was a bit of a strange one really. Some outings I could lap quite comfortably in the low 2-minute laps, and then the next session that we did I was in the 2-minute 1 second sort of region, which was really strange. And after speaking to Raptor, there was a bit of a grip glitch also during the main event for Raptor. But unfortunately it all went wrong for myself, and through this video I thought I'd sort of take away some learnings from the event itself if I could, and just show actually what happened away from the main sort of broadcast really. For some reason they didn't particularly pick up on any of the action at the back of the grid as to what happened through turn 3. So let's take a little bit of a look at what happened on the night and everything that goes towards taking part in one of these events. So on the night itself, you'll get an invite from the race director, which was Automation JD, and we come into the main lobby itself. As you can see, all the drivers that are in contention, THR Abraham just not yet ready to up or readied up, along with Variable, but everyone else was sat there all waiting to go for probably about 10 minutes really. Then we just got I think it was like a text message within the Discord app to let us know that the event was starting in about 10 minutes. So that just gave you a little bit of time to go and get yourself a drink, take a bit of a comfort break, look over some of the settings within the track or the race settings, and just do something or anything that you might have needed to do before the race started. Email a few friends or speak to your family or anything that are interested in actually watching the broadcast itself, and then you get the old ready up and the countdown into the lobby. So my idea was, as soon as I got to the lobby, I would check my pit strategy, which was just to select the damage and head straight out and get on with setting some lap times. During practice I found that you really did want to run the outlap and try and get as much temperature into the tyres. I never really seemed to set a very good lap. On my second lap, it was always my third lap out, and as you can see, even the cold tyre conditions just catching out one of the other drivers there just on the outlap. And yeah, I'm just trying to get the tyres nice and warm. I really wanted them to be around 24 to 25 psi. And I was just looking in my rear view mirror as I'm coming down the Wellington Straight here. I knew THR Abraham was in the only red car really, and he was very quick up my rear end, and having thought about it, I can really understand why he's actually neglecting warming the tyres, because it's a 2-minute lap. Obviously you're wanting to do your out lap, and then you're wanting to get 2 flying laps in really, and the only way that you can really do that is by really neglecting warming the tyres on the first lap. The second lap always seems to be like the tyres haven't quite reached the temperature that I'm wanting from them, so my third lap was always my best lap, even through all the testing that I was doing through the week, numerous stages. And as you can see, we just fast forward here to actually setting my first flying lap. So I'll just talk you around the lap. Obviously into turn 1 I was using 56 on the brake bias, braking just between the 50 and the 100 yard board, dropping down into first gear, and 1 click forward on the brake bias to 55, turning in here and just trying to get on the power very hard to get the car straightened up. So accelerating off there, and we're just going to change the brake bias to 58 coming into Brooklands and Luffield, and just coming out onto the curb, braking at the 50 yard board and trying to get the car straightened up just to take a really late apex. Coming into here, sort of throwing the car in, let the car run through a little bit and then get back on the power as soon as you can, just half throttle until you can get fully flat on the throttle. Coming along here, and this is another corner that I really did struggle with, and during the race someone takes away the boards on the left hand side, so braking at the last lamppost, having changed the brake bias to 54 through this one, really want to get that car rotated, and then back up to 56 coming through this next series of corners, which I always forget. But yeah, another one where I sort of stay in third gear, but I have seen a few cars drop down to second gear on this exit and then all the way down the hanger straight. I remembered it this time. But yeah, coming into here, braking at the 50 yard board, down into 57 for the brake bias for this one, trying to pick up that apex and then letting the car run wide, and then through into this final section that's oh so tricky. Up to 56 for the brake bias for this one, and running over this curb just a little bit. I take a tiny bit too much there, or I probably didn't take enough and get a little bit of a wheel onto the grass, but this really should have been my flying lap. And you'll notice on the delta just above a little bit of a better line through, and you can already see that the delta time's going up, and this should have been my lap really to put me into about 4th or 5th on the grid. Just much more hooked up, the tyres are nice and warm. As you can see, we're already up on the delta, and it just progresses through the lap really. But yeah, kind of disappointing that I didn't manage to get into a position where I could put a 1:59 lap together. But yeah, the guys that are at the top of the leaderboard, you know, they are there for a very good reason, and to be able to lap consistently in the 1:59s is pretty hard going. I saw the later race on PC, obviously where the force feedback and everything, the frames per second is a little bit better really. They were managing to get into the 58s, which was incredible really. Having raced against THR Wolf in the past, he is a very quick driver, and as you can see there, just took far too much curb and instantly got that track penalty. So having to slow down on a qualifying lap's just never going to get you anywhere. So I instantly just went straight back to the pit to do another out lap, and as you can see, just exiting the pit again with THR Abraham in my rear view mirror. And straight away, once again, it should have clicked at this point really, that I really needed to get on with setting a lap, and you can see how eager THR Abraham is to get past. So I just thought, I'll just let him past and he can get on with setting his lap. He's already took pole position anyway, but obviously just trying to cement that. But I never got any better than that, so managed to qualify in 8th position. but I would have very much liked to have seen myself put a 202. Oh, sorry, yeah, a two dead in really. Probably somewhere just between variable and Actress really. I would have been happy in that position, but let's just see how the race unfolds. So before I pass you over to the commentary team, you'll see just as we get into the race, I'm just going to change my brake bias to 56, get my rev speed up to about 7,000 RPM, and then get ready for the race. And I'll join you a little bit further into this process.
We're about to see some red lights appear, and then it will indeed go green. There are the reds. We're about to go green here then at Silverstone for our first race of today. Is the Xbox quarterfinals of the Logitech McLaren G Challenge. And well, nearly went 3 wide there. As you can see, Abraham then trying to cover off the second position there of Raptor. And well, we've seen now Alex making a move for P2.
Just coming up into this section, I can see the car alongside. It just gives me a little bit of a nudge at the front end. It puts me a little bit sideways. And then I'm just trying to stay away from everyone really, and then wham, just out of nowhere really. I can't really do anything about that. And then I get this race control saying I need to give the position back, so I slow myself down, and FPR Stig, he's sort of presented with another ghost sort of in front of him, or another car that decides that his race is done for. I'm looking down at mine. I've got 2% damage on one of the front suspensions and 40% damage on my front wing. Loads of understeer coming from the front of the car, and as much as the commentator seems to think that everyone seems to have got through unscathed, and there's a slight incident just up ahead, there's a lot of us behind that have had a massive incident, to be honest. And there's well, literally every car in front of me at the moment, or Chaos Theory, he's definitely heading to the pits. I think I've got another car just coming up behind me. He's also involved, and he'll also be heading to the pits. So yeah, I'll leave you with this for a second, and then we'll join very shortly.
Slipstreaming and opportunity to overtake, Silverstone is really serving up a dose of excitement, I would say, in today's Xbox race, and hopefully all of our races are this or more as far as interesting is concerned. Really excited to see if we can get some moves done in the first couple of laps here, especially by Raptor in third place, who looks like he is very eager to pounce.
Well, this is what Abraham wants. Abraham wants Raptor to close in on second position here of Alex, because then they battle. We saw it.
Just cutting back to my footage, and as we're coming into the pits, you can see the other cars just up ahead doing exactly the same. So that's 3 of us just heading into the pits. And I'm sure one of these guys, as I'm coming in, whether he decides that his race is run, I'm sure one of them just disappears, to be honest. Actress there, and then Chaos Theory just pulling in. Not sure how much damage either of the other guys manages to take, but I'm definitely not stopping longer than the other drivers are. I seem to be sat in the pits a lot less than anybody else, just looking through my rear view mirror, and no one else comes down the inside. So I got away with that quite lightly with a 11.4 second stop. And then I'm out on my way, time to try and make up a position. And obviously you can see just up ahead, I've got quite a ways to go till I reach Stig, that's in 8th position. And I really did wish that I was able to catch Stig, at least in the final stages, to have just had a little bit of a battle with somebody. It was just hugely disappointing on the night to have spent so long on the run up to this race, getting myself prepared, and just trying to get myself back up to speed to actually end up racing nobody, to be honest. It was just a clear circuit for myself throughout the entire race, having gone through those first set of corners and having the race pretty much decided for me, really. So yeah, it was a kind of disappointing night. Friends and family that were watching, and I didn't even get a single mention throughout the entire broadcast. Just a tiny section through the qualifying but never managed to get into the region where you get talked about. But I would have definitely been up there, I think, with the lead drivers, maybe a couple of seconds away from them. But I definitely had much more pace in me than was shown on the evening. But hopefully I could get one of the wildcard slots that might be available. I'll see what happens. Other than that, obviously, I think in the meantime I'll be doing some more Assetto Corsa Competizione content, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the race if you didn't manage to watch it. Certainly recommend watching the other two races that went on the evening, and the PC race was certainly very entertaining, and I'll be rooting for the next event with FPR Physique. Hopefully he does well during the finals and takes away that coveted position, and good luck to the rest of the guys taking part in the competition. So yeah, I'll leave you with that. I'll leave you with the rest of the race, and as per usual, ciao for now.
Luckily, variable wasn't spun around there. It's a very, very sort of tough situation to be involved in and actually survive. So fair play to variable. He's off now to maybe try and chase down the leaders. But again, he needs to find 8 seconds now with 14 minutes to go. So there is plenty of time for that to happen, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Raptor, by the way, is closing in here ever so slightly. So, again, you said he was about a second slower than Abraham on the previous lap, but ultimately he had traffic to contend with. He was battling 4P2 with Alex, but right now it's come down to 2.5 seconds. So, again, 0.2 of a second here. And I think we might be potentially seeing a battle unfold here. Again, he's got to get it done pretty quickly. Again, 0.2 of a second over the next, what it would actually take 10. Well, it'd take about 12 laps here, so he wouldn't have enough time. So he needs to start finding maybe half a second a lap here. But as they go across the line, Abraham was actually still quicker. But remember, he had to get the overtake done on the first sector of the last lap, so he would have lost time there. So for me right now, I think Raptor's the fastest man on circuit. It's just all about whether he can hook it up together, lap in, lap out, close that gap. And, you know, Abraham's going to see the delta. We spoke about this before, John, where Abraham will start to see the time coming down, and that's where he's going to be forced into mistakes. He's going to start pushing again. Right now, he doesn't need to push, but as soon as he starts seeing that time come down, then, you know, that's when nerves come in. And again, it is winner takes all, so he will get really, really nervous.
I think that's a very important element of the race to consider, because if Raptor starts putting in some hot laps now, it's all about the psychology of Abraham out in front. If Abraham attempts a slower lap, or shall we say a safer lap, where they're not taking quite as many risks, that's fine. But if that lap is slower than Raptor really putting the pedal to the metal, then that might force Abraham into a mistake. Last week and the week before, the drivers that ran away with it, they're the ones that even when they took their foot off the pedal very slightly, they were still consistently 2 or 3 tenths faster than the drivers behind them. So that's now the limit that Abraham needs to test. If Abraham's able to take it, not take it easy, but maybe just take the turbo off a little bit and conserve that last 10%, take fewer risks, and still put in a tenth or 2 per lap faster than Raptor, he's going to feel very comfortable. I think this lap is going to tell us all we need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more there. We've just actually seen Alex letting variable go. I think he realises his race is over with the damage he's got on that car. And fair play was flashing his lights to let him go, and that's great. Again, something we've seen quite often, John, across this championship so far, is people and their sportsmanship. It's been done in very good spirits, which is exactly what you want to see. But people who are not going to be too worried about doing this in good spirits are the leaders. And, well, Abraham was being caught by Raptor ever so slightly, but again, we're going to find out as they come across the line as to whether indeed that is still the case here. Again, Abraham is just dropping time ever so slightly, but the tyre temperatures will be going through the roof at this point. Across the line in a 2 minutes, 0.2, and Raptor is just about a tenth of a second slower. So pretty much matching Abraham right now, but Abraham has got that hard work done already in the first phase of this race.
This is shaping up to be quite interesting, because Abraham is still faster, but I would argue not fast enough to be super comfortable, which means that Raptor is still very much in with the shout, and if Abraham even so much as goes wide on a corner, for example, you could easily lose 2 seconds a lap, as we saw Alex 3000 do earlier, and that's not even taking into account something like hitting too much of a curb and going into a spin, for example. So it's still very much one mistake away, and therefore Abraham does have to be careful, but at least he doesn't have to multitask by looking in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, Exactly that, you know, it's going to be a bit of a slog out there, but ultimately just get the result, move on, and then you're done for the day. Wizardu, again, up from P10 on the grid to P5, so definitely a shout for driver of the day for me. And also, this is an opportunity for a lot of young drivers who may never have been in this sort of environment before in terms of an esports competition with nothing really on the line. They've raced in community leagues and stuff, and that's all great, and, you know, lots of drivers take it very, very seriously. But ultimately, there's nothing really on the line in terms of potential prizes and stuff like that. Representing, you know, you're representing Logitech as a brand and McLaren as a brand the further you go through this competition. So there's so much on the line, but they can lean on this experience moving forward. So it's not all about today. It's what you can learn from today. It's like Wizardu, it's almost impossible that he's going to be able to qualify now. With 10 minutes to go, 19 seconds back. The front two are looking, you know, bulletproof at this point. So, you know, even if one of them makes a mistake, the other one's pretty much going to pick up the pieces. But it's about leaning on that experience moving forward. This is the first year we've used Xbox as well. So, you know, next year, lean on this, and potentially we could see someone like Wizardu, who's a very young man, very, very talented, potentially reach his potential, using the word potential so often here. But again, it's for people at home as well. There is an opportunity here in the Logitech McLaren G Challenge. Make sure that you do indeed go and get the relevant information. Go to logitechg.com, sign up for the newsletter, because next year is going to be incredible. More opportunities available for people. And again, it's free to enter. You know, what have you got to lose? Maybe you think, oh, I'm not quite as quick as these drivers. Well, until you know, put a few hours in and really put your mind to something, have an objective to go for, you never know. Trust me. You know, some of the drivers you're going to see potentially win this championship 12 months ago, 24 months ago, they were maybe in the bottom 40% of the sim racing world, but they've put their mind to it, and we're seeing new talent coming through. So there's an opportunity for a lot of drivers here. And well, talking of opportunity, Abraham now 6 seconds in the lead. So Raptor has not had the best of the laps there, unfortunately, on the previous one. And actually, he had matched Abraham there. So he had done 2:03 twice in a row, had Raptor, and really was trying to pile that pressure on. But right now, with 8 minutes 50 seconds to go, Abraham is looking very, very good. And well, Team Highlands Racing with Operator already in the North America finals. They are looking very strong in the Logitech McLaren G Challenge.
Raptor pushing as hard as he can to try and get some lap times a little bit faster than Abraham, but unfortunately making a mistake as he did so. We were saying that even just running wide at a corner could cost you a couple of seconds. Unfortunately, for the lead of the race at least, it means that Raptor has now dropped a couple of seconds to Abraham as opposed to the other way around, so we're not going to see wheel-to-wheel fighting for the lead of the race at the moment. But you're quite right, Luke. The opportunity is definitely there for these drivers. Take Wizardu, for example. Arguably a driver of the day worthy performance from him there, especially if he continues and maybe can even catch up to something like 4th place, which would be amazing from 10th on the grid. And while he wouldn't progress from this qualifier, that would be really, really good for him and boding well going into, for example, one of the wildcard tournaments. So Wizardu has a lot of positives to take from this race, as do a couple more notable drivers, even though right now in 1st place, it's all about Abraham.
Yeah, I think we will see a few of these drivers, like you said, there come through the wildcards. I'd be very surprised if we didn't. And I'm just wondering whether some nerves have affected Wizardu here, because I've seen him racing previously, and he is one of the very fastest on Xbox around the world, let alone just in this region. So yeah, I think maybe some nerves have got to him here. First major esports event that he's been involved in. But yeah, the future's bright for him. But now he's being caught here by Cal. So Cal looking to potentially, well, he's just missed the apex there through turn 1, unfortunately. But again, he is closing in on a top 5 here. And again, as a racing driver, obviously with this being a winner takes all format today, winning is everything. But if you can't win, you want to get a podium. And if you can't get a podium, you want to reach that top 5. And this is the battle for the top 5 then. So Cal Bowton versus Wizardu. And Wizardu just losing ever so slightly a bit of time there. Again, you need to be cutting that curb there to maximize your speed on this straight. It's this straight here, the Wellington straight and the Hangar straight. You need to be absolutely nailing the exit of the corner onto those straights. That's where you lose the most time. And Wizardu there missing the apex once again. So the Cow is piling on the pressure here. And we're seeing mistake after mistake, but not only from Wizardu, actually it's Cow as well, who really is genuinely pushing hard here.
Both drivers making mistakes on that last lap. Wizardu in the 204s and Cal in the 203s. So quite clearly one driver making a mistake and the other possibly following them straight through. But Cal's still able to gain approximately a second. Wizardu has shown us that his racecraft is fantastic, to be perfectly honest, as we saw Cal have another wobble. Because he had to battle up to 5th place, starting 10th on the grid. So there can be no question about the experience and the racing pedigree that Wizardju has, but even the best drivers in the world are prone to mistakes. The question is what they do to recover. So all eyes on the next lap and whether Wizardju can recover to start to gap Cal once again.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Cal's driving style there, and it says to me that he's got a lot of experience in hot lapping. We've been speaking about this over the last few weeks within the quarterfinals. And yeah, like hot lappers, they don't tend to know more than one line around a circuit. Of course, there's really only one line around every circuit to maximize to get that perfect lap. So indeed, when you get behind another car and you've got dirty air, you maybe start to struggle here. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if with a bit more experience from Cal, if we don't see him in the future as well. Looks like he's got some serious pace. It's all about hooking it up in the races. But he is closing up on Wizardju here, so we might see a little bit of a ding-dong with 5 minutes to go for this potential P5. Again, it looks pretty wrapped up there between Abraham and Raptor at the front, unless Abraham makes a mistake. But again, this is where you earn your dough right now, John. The last 5 minutes of the race, a mistake here, you know, you've got to try and ward off that pressure from yourself at this point, especially when you've got a 6-second advantage. It's all about, you know, playing against your own mind.
It really is playing against your own mind, especially if you end up pushing. If you think 6 seconds isn't enough, I need to get to 10, that is where someone who's really, really quick and really consistent can sometimes be made to make mistakes. Everyone obviously has a winning mentality when it comes to the top tier of racing, but part of a winning mentality, and I think some racing drivers more than others exhibit this, is understanding when enough is enough and when actually, you know what, I've got comfortable, firm control of this race. How many times in any racing series have we seen, for example, a driver in first place also go, you know what, I want fastest lap as well, and then disaster strikes in the last 3 laps. It's something that we see in racing. So it's about being able to temper yourself when you know you're in a good position. And fastest lap gets you no points here. It's about bringing the car home in first place, and that's exactly what Abraham is going to aim to do.
Yeah, it does look like that's going to be the case here as we watch Cal come through Maggotts and Beckett's here again, closing in on Wizardju. So they are indeed lapping the same sort of lap times, lap for lap. I just gave some wrong information, ladies and gentlemen. It is LogitechGChallenge.com for you guys to indeed go and get the information for next year. So make sure that you do indeed go and sign up for that newsletter, and that is LogitechGChallenge.com. So my apologies there. My brain doesn't work as fast as someone like John who's next to me. He knows everything.
Oh god, well that's a lot of pressure going into the next 2 races. Gee, I'm going to have to start predicting top 10s and stuff. Oh goodness, don't do that to me, Luke. No, you're doing a fine job from where you are, mate. And the action on track, thankfully, has someone like you to present it to the general public, which is fantastic. And I'm really pleased, by the way, to see that even though first and second place are all but wrapped up at this point, look at this battle continuing to unfold. Cal does not know when to stop. I am loving this race. Oh god. Well, I almost feel like I cast a curse. That is an excellent battle, but Cal may be a little bit too eager and thus late on the brakes, going right up the tailpipe there, unfortunately, on that particular time.
Yeah, congratulations to Cal and Wizardju, who will be expecting a baby McLaren in around about 9 months' time. Although, as we come down the Wellington Straight there, they are side by side, and Cal now is going to try and make that opportunity, and well, he runs out wide here. And again, maybe just seeing that he's a bit of a hot lap specialist, Wizardju will take this opportunity back here. I'm not trying to say he's going to retaliate, but yeah, that wasn't the cleanest of overtakes there from Cal, that's for sure. So the top 5 now currently is Cal, but now Wizardju's got to try and indeed use the slipstream now, try and get underneath that rear wing and try and force a mistake here. But as it stands, Abraham still leads, Raptor second. We've got Variable is in third then. Alex, who's got some serious damage, by the way, still holding on to P4, although he is lapping slower than... He's actually second slowest on circuit right now, so that damage has been huge. But ultimately, he did loads of the hard work earlier on, so to get himself into P4. But again, this is the battle on circuit right now. This is what we want to be watching. And it is indeed between Wizardju and Cal. Wizardju is very, very close indeed as they come then onto the hangar straight up towards Stowe. There's an opportunity knocks here. Wizardju not really in the slipstream there. Just stepped out ever so slightly. Needs to be right underneath as close as he possibly can. Up towards Stowe they come, and Cal takes a very defensive line here. So on the exit, he might be a little bit compromised. And can Wizardju take full advantage? As they do indeed now head onto... Are we going to be on the final lap? Where is Abraham? So Abraham crossed the line already. Surely here. No, we are... I don't know. I don't think we'll have one more lap to go, actually, after this. As we look then on from Wizardju. So he then is just in behind still, not really close enough to make an opportunity here. He'll be seething, because that wasn't a fair way of making an overtake there by Cal, that's for sure. Again, I'm not going to treat the audience like they're stupid. That wasn't fun to watch at all. And I think as Abraham, it's going to be close here with 57 seconds to go. This could potentially be the final lap of this race. Let's give Abraham a little bit of camera time then as he comes up towards Maggots and Beckett's, which again potentially could be the final time. It's going to be very close as he crosses the line. But what a performance has been here. Qualified pole. He set the best time in qualifying on his first attempt. He actually did indeed improve just a little bit by a couple of hundredths, but his banker time would have been good enough for pole position. So he's just been on a bit of a different level here as he comes then on towards then the final back straight. Well, we're going to see any showboat and any weaving. I don't think we will. It is the quarterfinals here after all. It's just about getting the job done. Up towards Stowe then. And he's just going to take a nice wide entry here. Just wants to make sure. I very much doubt he's going to take any curb whatsoever. Doesn't want to be indeed losing the car here. And well, with only, 5 seconds to go, this will be the final lap of today's race then. A couple of corners to go. And THR Abraham has been absolutely bulletproof here today, and he will be our first winner from today, and he will, representing THR, be into the regional finals here of the Logitech McLaren G Challenge. Nice work there by Abraham. It will be Raptor who finishes in second. It looked like he might have the pace to indeed, well, he was actually faster on the final lap there to put a bit of pressure on, but unfortunately his battle with Alex may have cost him here. Variable will come across the line in third spot then. We've then got Alex 3000, as you well pointed out there, with a load of damage on his car, but fair play to him. You can see that he's struggling with turning, that's for sure. But let's go on board with this Wizardu versus Cal, and will Wizardu be able to take this spot at the death? It does not look like he's quite close enough here, so Cal will be able to hold on. But what a race, John. THR Abraham, very deserved winner.
Absolutely, really good race, and a couple of standout performances as well. Variable, especially after being involved in that shunt earlier in the race, still able to take a podium position. And of course, Wizardu with that incredible battle with Cal. But don't forget, Wizardu started the race in 10th place as well. So all sorts of fun up and down the field, but realistically, Abraham was in a class of his own and is a very, very deserved winner going through to the EMEA regional final. So congratulations to everyone in this race. There will be other opportunities, of course, to people who didn't qualify to continue to push their way through, and they'll be able to do that through the wildcards. But for this race specifically, one driver is going to go through, and I do believe that is Abraham. We've then got, of course, 2 more races coming up after this. We have the PlayStation and PC. But these guys have really given us some solid entertainment to start the night.